Welcome to this session. Good to see you again. There's a progress report I'd like to give you, and it's a good report. But it's also given me a chance to reflect on what I've learned as a result of this experience. Yes, I am still in dialysis. I'm feeling a lot stronger, feeling a lot better. And that's really obvious to everybody around me. Even my tennis has improved. This leads to very interesting questions. After all, when my kidneys first failed in 2010 and I asked the kidney doctor, what can I do to cure it? The answer she gave me was, you can't. Anybody in dialysis must stay on dialysis till death. Well, I have doubts about that for me, but I've learned a lot about what was required, and, well, it's a little unusual. First, if you have looked at my previous YouTubes, you know that during 2013, 3 years after I started dialysis, the lab report numbers started getting better, although obviously I wasn't cured, but they were good enough for me to consider walking away from dialysis for a while. This leads to several questions. The first was, well, somehow it must have been possible, because I did and functioned pretty well for a while. But then in 2015, 2 years later, the numbers went really bad and I needed to go back into dialysis, and I did so. And I'm in there today. I'll be in dialysis. I'll be in that dialysis chair tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Somehow, my body rigged something before the 2013 cutoff date so that it would be possible and even safe for me to walk away from dialysis. I don't know how, but it worked, and I did. And it was only until maybe 2 years later that something started to go bad again. The numbers certainly did go bad. I really was in trouble, and I knew it. And with the dialysis, I'm in great shape, or at least better. What the body did, I don't know. But I can give you a hint, I think, now, why it happened. The kidney doctor basically told me that people in dialysis lose their kidneys. They fail. Presumably because the body just doesn't need them anymore. And apparently that 3-year period in 2013 was the limit. And it was at that point that somehow the body arranged so that I could safely walk away, put the kidneys in charge, so that the body really forced them to go back into, uh-oh, we're needed again. Now remember, 2013, the whole thing was destroyed. Both kidneys gone. So they had had 3 years to recover. And so, of course, they are not still full size, but I've got what I've got. Okay. So in 2013, the kidneys started saying the body needs us and could work. Well, that was 2 years for them to get back into, we're working. Then everything really fell apart, and I'm in dialysis again. However, I am so strong that my own guess is, now remember, this is just a guess, that I can probably walk away, that I will probably be forced, from lack of insurance. I have insurance now that's because my numbers say I need them. But if I really don't need the dialysis, I suspect it will show up sometime before the end of 2015. Hopefully quite a bit before that. We'll see. That would be interesting. Do I still use frequencies? Absolutely. The frequency healing has been going on ever since, and it continues to this day. My understanding is it has been very effective and very helpful and needed. For one thing, one result of the 2010 failure is that my parasites took up residence in the tissues of my body at a rate that is, or was, just horrendous. How can I get rid of them? Well, the frequencies have helped a lot. Would that have been enough? My body says no. It wouldn't have been enough, even if I had used that. Tennis was essential. Now I can see your face when I say that, but all I can say is that this is what I'm hearing. The tennis played a really essential role. It provided that fluid flow from the twisting and the very active role of twisting. And tennis, of course, does that. My body very clearly says without the tennis, I could not have walked away in 2013. And I could not have reached the point at which it was even possible to do that, and therefore the kidney could never have recovered. Well, I did have tennis. That leaves another question, and that is, how did I know what frequencies to use? It's a very good question, because all of the frequencies that I'm familiar with from the people who used to do this, I don't have any use for them. How do I find out? I intuitively ask, and I use a small pendulum. Actually, let me take a moment and get one. A small pendulum. This is an example. And my body has developed a habit of giving me a yes answer with a swing like this, and giving me a no answer with a swing like this. Now what I want to do is determine the frequencies. Say I'm working with one generator and I want to determine its frequency. So I will start with this hand. The finger is pointing at a number key on the keyboard of the computer. And I will start, just because I'm used to it, I'll point to the 9 key. And then I ask, is the first digit of this number a 9? If the answer is yes, it comes back like that, and I press the button. If the answer is no, I say, oh, okay, is it an 8? No. Is it a 7? I got a yes. Okay, I'll press the 7 button. And I work my way all the way down. Then I do the same thing for each number. Now most of these numbers are something between 90 and it's about 90 million, maybe 98 million, 92 million, and all the digits have to be correct. Like 98, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, period, 7, 8. And all of the numbers must be right. This isn't very sloppy, it's extremely precise. Where does this information come from? Well, the body knows much better than it wants to the frequencies of any parasites in it and any military weapons, bioweapons in it. So it can give them to me, presumably. I'm telling you this for the very reason I'm doing all of these YouTubes. I don't need this film to cure myself. It's obvious something is working. But what about the thousands of people who don't have it? Is there some way they can do the same thing I'm doing? Maybe if I tell you what I'm doing, you can figure it out for yourself. Anyway, that's all the digits in one number. I use 4 generators, which means each generator needs a number. So I need 4 numbers. I have to do this 4 times. Okay. There are some other aspects to this that are interesting that I haven't discussed. First, you know I'm a physicist by training. Physicists tend to analyze things. They want to look at them in detail. They want to understand just how it works so they can take it apart or fix things. So, for example, it would be the idea is, suppose I was thinking about using frequency generator, I would say, well, am I doing this to eliminate this following disease, so in the liver, say. The trouble is, if I understand the disease I'm working on, then the parasites in my brain understand it too, and they can change the frequency they use. They do it very quickly. And that's going to mess me up. So I've learned a different approach. I ask, is it appropriate to use a frequency now? And if I get the yes, I go ahead and ask for the numbers. I do not ask what it's for. I do not ask if there are any toxins. I don't even ask if it's for me. It might be for my wife. Surprise is helpful here, and this is the best way to provide it. I want to say also that over time my tennis has begun to mature. I'm no longer a beginner. At a tennis level, I'm probably somewhere in a mid 3.5 range. And I've found an interesting relationship with a group of people in a doubles group in which I am clearly over their heads, a better player. And as a result of being with them, they are becoming better tennis players. And I'm healing my kidneys. I'm not making a big deal out of that with them, but I'm not playing tennis with them for what would normally consider to be the right reason. I'm getting a huge benefit by playing with them. And in the meantime, they're getting the experience of playing with a much better player. Now, all I get from it is healed kidneys. Not so bad, eh? Thanks for listening. We'll talk again.
Cute.